There's a quiet kind of love that doesn't shout, doesn't chase, doesn't beg to be chosen. It stands a few steps back, watching, feeling everything but showing very little. This is the detached lover. Not cold, not heartless, just careful. And if you've ever wondered why distance can feel safer than closeness, this story will feel uncomfortably familiar. It usually starts after something breaks. Not dramatically, not all at once, just enough to teach a lesson. Maybe it was the first time you opened up and it was brushed off. The first time you trusted someone with your vulnerability and watched it get mishandled. The first time you loved freely and paid for it emotionally. So you adapted. You didn't stop feeling. You learned to feel from a distance. You became the kind of person who loves with one foot out the door, not because you want to leave, but because you never want to be trapped in pain again. That's the detached lover's secret. Distance isn't rejection. It's protection. The detached lover still wants connection. They just don't want to drown in it. They've learned that closeness comes with risk, expectations, disappointment, emotional responsibility. So instead of merging, they orbit. They show up. They listen. They care. But they never fully collapse into the relationship. Because somewhere deep down, they believe this: if I don't need you too much, you can't destroy me. And that belief becomes a shield. In modern relationships, especially in the fast, emotionally loud culture of the US, this kind of detachment is often misunderstood. People call it emotionally unavailable. They call it fear of commitment. They call it avoidant. But that's only half the truth. The detached lover isn't afraid of love. They're afraid of losing themselves inside it. They've seen what happens when love becomes identity, when boundaries dissolve, when someone else's mood controls your peace. So they choose space. Not because they don't care, but because caring too deeply once cost them too much. Here's the paradox. The more detached they are, the safer they feel. And the safer they feel, the more attractive they become. Why? Because detachment creates calm. They're not reactive. They don't panic at silence. They don't demand constant reassurance. Their presence feels grounded. And in a world full of emotional chaos, that steadiness feels like oxygen. People lean toward it without even realizing why. But there's another layer, one the detached lover rarely admits. Distance doesn't just protect them from pain. It protects them from needing. Needing creates vulnerability. Vulnerability creates exposure. Exposure creates risk. So they stay self-contained. They don't ask for much. They don't reveal everything. They keep parts of themselves locked behind quiet walls. And those walls feel safe. Until they don't. Because detachment has a cost. When you keep distance long enough, it stops being a strategy and starts becoming a lifestyle. You get used to being untouched. You stop expecting emotional depth. You stop reaching when something hurts. You convince yourself you're fine on your own until loneliness sneaks in through the cracks. The detached lover often lies awake at night feeling a strange mix of peace and emptiness. Safe, but unseen. Protected, but unheld. And that's the trade-off. What makes this even more complex is that many detached lovers don't realize they're detached. They think they're just independent, low drama, emotionally strong, and in many ways, they are. But independence becomes isolation when no one is allowed close enough to truly know you. Strength becomes armor when it's never taken off. Here's the truth most people won't say out loud. Distance feels like safety because closeness once felt like danger. Somewhere in the past, love stopped being safe. So the nervous system adapted. It learned that space equals control. Silence equals stability. Emotional distance equals survival. And once your body learns that pattern, logic doesn't undo it. Time doesn't undo it. Only awareness does. The detached lover doesn't need to be fixed. They don't need to be forced open. They don't need someone to chase them harder or love them louder. What they need is choice. The ability to recognize when distance is a boundary and when it's a wall. When detachment is wisdom and when it's fear. Because there's a difference between protecting your peace and hiding from connection. Healthy love doesn't require self-abandonment, but it does require presence. It requires letting someone see you on a bad day, letting them disappoint you and stay anyway, letting closeness exist without immediately preparing for escape. That doesn't mean giving everything. It means allowing some risk. The most powerful moment in a detached lover's life isn't when they walk away. It's when they stay. When they feel the instinct to pull back and choose to lean in just a little instead. Not all at once. Not recklessly. But consciously. Distance can feel like safety. But safety isn't the same as fulfillment. And the detached lover deep down knows this. They don't crave chaos. They don't crave drama. They crave connection that doesn't consume them. Love that doesn't require self-betrayal. Closeness without collapse. And when they finally learn that safety can exist inside connection, not just outside it, that's when detachment stops being armor and starts becoming choice. Not distance out of fear, but space with intention. And that's when love stops feeling dangerous and starts feeling real.